Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to talk about some stuff that I found quite fascinating, and it's regarding some scenes between Okafor and Rick Grimes, and a certain mystery that actually we've been wondering about for a very, very long time that seems to be getting revealed, like for sure. It's going to be confirmed and everything basically explained to us in this show here. And so I want to talk about that and also talk about a few other things. There's a bunch of other like other things just around the Walking Dead universe and stuff that I want to get into here in this video. So yeah, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. The show is returning in 6 days from now. So very, very exciting. Obviously, there's going to be this big build for the show's premiere here. Now, I will say I'm going to touch on the whole 6-episode limited event thing that people have been talking about. People have been wanting me to talk about over the last couple of days. But yeah, I didn't really want to do a video on it just because I've been doing a lot of like just, videos on the talk of a season 2 and all that. And I feel like we got a lot of confirmation by Scott Gimple and everyone else that it looks like not necessarily a season 2, though it does seem like that is a possibility because that was more the question, like could we see a season 2, this and that, and it does seem like the possibility is very, very much there. Denai Guerrera, Andrew Lincoln, and Scott Gimple, just the way they've sort of been talking about this in general has really been like, just watch this first, like just watch this here and we will see where this goes kind of thing. And the whole talk was like never say never, and I really feel like that is exactly where they're at. They're exactly in the place where they're like, we could do another one, but like let's just release this. We put so much time and effort into this thing here, let's see how this does and let's give this to everybody and like, yeah, enjoy the ride of this here, and then we'll we can focus on a part 2 after if we're going to do that. And obviously I think story wise, if they know that they're going to be doing a part 2, then they probably already set it up in this show, right? So I want to talk about that near the end of the video here because there's been some new promotion. It's been in like 2 recent teasers anyways, where at the end of it, it now says a limited, or not a limited, but a 6-episode event or something like that. It says like The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, a 6-episode event. And people are like, oh, so is that just it then? Why all of a sudden are you promoting it like that? And that was only like 1 or 2 teasers. There's been a lot of discussion of a lot of other things. So I'll get into that at the end of the video here. But what I saw in an article here from comicbook.com, and I'll leave a link down below to the actual interview. Definitely go and check it out. There's a lot more that actually goes on in the interview. But we have the actor here that plays Okafor in The Ones Who Live, and he actually mentions here that Rick Grimes won't allow himself to feel at home in this place. And I wanted to make this like small mention, like the next point is a much bigger one, but I wanted to mention this really quick here because I feel like that's really important to understand, or in understanding, Rick Grimes' mindset, I guess even, going into episode 3 or 4, because I've always kind of wondered if like by the time Rick and Michonne reunited, if Rick would be more willing to stay at the CRM, like not necessarily to like live there and like follow their rules and all of that. Like, I just mean more like, what if we could change the leadership in this place and then this place could just be, that perfect to live in kind of thing. Like, I'm wondering if that's going to be his approach, or at least I was wondering if that would be his approach here. But the actor who plays Okafor, who obviously has like a lot of scenes here with Rick Grimes, mentions that Rick won't allow himself to like be at home in this place or feel like he's at home in this place, and his family is his home. And so I'm gonna really watch those first couple of episodes and really look for that. Like, I wonder if that's a thing in Andrew Lincoln's head where he's like, I'm me playing Rick, I'm just gonna have that mindset of like, yes, all of these things are really amazing, like I could really live a good life here and I could feel so relaxed, but I'm not gonna allow myself to feel like I'm at home, right? And obviously that should be something that is very, very natural because your kids aren't there, your wife's not there, like very, very obviously like normal to be like, well, this isn't really home. But there could be aspects to it where you're like just living comfortably that you get so used to that maybe by the time it's like episode 3 or 4 and you reunite with Michonne, maybe Rick is like, you know what? I really like this place. Like, why don't you guys, like, everyone live here, right? Like, all of us can live here. This can actually be a really, really amazing place kind of thing. And so for Rick to be like, no, from immediately, like in the beginning, to just be like, we're not going to stay here. And, I'm never going to let myself feel at home in this place. I really find that very, very fascinating because it really is just going to allow him to like constantly want to like, leave and all of that. And I do wonder if like by the end, if that changes, like I know Rick is going to be obviously trying to escape so much. much, but I wonder if by the end, how much different he is, right? Because obviously it seems like he's going to try and escape like a ton of times. And so I'm just really curious if by the end, if he just kind of gives up, right? Like when does he try to escape? And after a while, like his last attempt, what discourages him from like not doing it anymore, right? Like, is there a difference there from, you know, just that moment until, you know, he actually finds Michonne? And when he finds Michonne, is it instant where he's like, all right, let's leave? Or is he like, no, I can't leave yet. Like, I actually can't, because if I go, this really bad thing can happen. Like, I'm just really curious on a lot of those type of things regarding like him actually leaving the CRM, right? Because, and we'll get into this, I guess, by the end here and talking about the whole 6-episode thing and all of that and what this story here for The Ones Who Live is. But it's really interesting. And the next point here is the actor who plays Okafor apparently actually gets to explain to Rick something that we've been wondering about for a very, very long time. And apparently it's a mystery. And they don't actually get into it in this article here or like in the interview here, but they kind of talk about something that people have been wondering about for a very, very long time. And he actually apparently gets to explain it to Rick Grimes. And I'm really wondering what that means. Like, you know, that could mean a lot of different things. I mean, first of all, there's the A and B thing. That to me, though, has already been explained. Like, we already know what that means. Like in World Beyond, we basically learned all of that. I mean, it wasn't really fully explained in World Beyond. Like, we are assuming a lot, right? Like, Jadis mentioned the whole A and B thing, that she never had an A, she had a B. And then we saw in World Beyond that if you're an A, I mean, you're a test subject. And then if you're a B, I guess you're someone that is more important to the CRM and all of that. There was nothing that was like, there wasn't really a scene that just explained everything. Like, so I wonder if that's going to be more of what it is, and if there's going to be more specifics on that, right? And if maybe Okafor is someone that Rick meets when he first arrives to the CRM. Like, he just sort of talks to Rick and he's like, all right, this and that, kind of explains everything or whatever. And so Rick, you know, just learns about all of that, like right there, right? So I wonder if that's what that is, or if it is like the triple P card thing. That's possible as well. I don't know if we're going to get into that here. There's, I'm trying to think of what else, you know, like if he's talking to Rick about a bunch of stuff, but that just really seems to be kind of what it is. And so, yeah, you know, I think Rick finding that out right away, if we find out all of that in episode 1, I think that's honestly absolutely incredible, because I think we should just kind of get a lot of that stuff out of the way. A lot of those things shouldn't be mysteries anymore. It's kind of ridiculous that, I mean, they're not really mysteries anymore anyways, but I feel like, yeah, we should just get the confirmation on that, like, already. I do want to point out as well, we do have a new The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live logo. This has been used for the last little bit here, but I just saw this on, I think it was their drive-in series or whatever that they have on AMC Plus, and this looks absolutely incredible. Like, I'm okay with like the Ones Who Live logo that's like on fire and stuff like that. Like, that looks really cool, but I feel like for a logo that you're going to have on, you know, whatever, like if it's going to be a very just casual, normal logo, this is the one to go with, where it just looks so clean and perfect. Like, it just looks absolutely incredible. Honestly, this is like my favorite logo that I've seen, really, from, and I'm even including like the original show, like more specifically because like the original show logo is kind of already here in this logo, but I think this looks really incredible. Like, this looks absolutely amazing. And I do want to get into some of the stuff with Rick Grimes and where this season is going, because like that is sort of the discussion right now, it seems like, with a lot of fans. Like, people are excited, obviously, for The Ones Who Live. We're 6 days away, but people are just wanting to know if there's going to be more story here. And like, Gimple and everyone else said a lot. Like, they did discuss a lot of like, well, first of all, let's get into the whole thing that people are talking about right now. And this is the thing that people are getting like kind of upset about, because they're like, well, this must mean that it's not going to be getting a season 2, right? So I'll bring up an article right away, and then we'll get into Gimple's comments from last week or like a week or two ago, because I think people have been forgetting those comments. But we've been seeing this here where it says The Walking Dead, as The Ones Who Live, a 6-episode event kind of thing. And people have been seeing this and been, you know, just kind of like, well, does this mean that that's it? Like, this is kind of it for the story, and like they're not going to be getting a season 2 kind of thing. And I think people have been getting very, very upset about that. And again, yeah, people have been asking me to talk about this, so I'll get into this here. I do think all this means is that they're kind of stating what it is. They're just kind of saying like, this is a 6-episode event, because originally when the show was announced, it was a 6-episode limited series. But like, even going back to when it was first announced, it wasn't even really that. Like, with this show, it's really always been like, it was never as like open in terms of, you know, where Daryl Dixon and Dead City were. Because with those shows, when they were announced, it was very like, okay, they're gonna get season 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. Like, it really seemed like it was gonna happen, right? With The Ones Who Live, it did seem like there was more of a possibility that this was only gonna be one season. But even going back to like the day it was announced, Entertainment Weekly asked back then, was this going to be a one episode series or a continuing series or whatever? And AMC confirmed to them that this was not intended to be like a limited series or something. And it was going to be like the first season or first whatever of a continuing series. I'm paraphrasing there, but it was like Entertainment Weekly posted that. And then people just kind of forgot about that. But Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera, they were actually asked about this, I believe like last May. The interview just came out with Entertainment Weekly, but they were asked about this like last spring, summer or whatever. And Andrew Lincoln was like, he was kind of laughing about it, saying like, yeah, like that'll be whatever, blah, and then Rick dies, whatever. And then he like stops himself and laughs. Like he's making a joke about it, basically saying like, oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool if we did a season 2, but like Rick dies in the finale. Like he doesn't say it would be cool if we did a season 2. He doesn't say that. It's just the way he's talking about it. It was just like, yeah, like kind of saying like anything's possible, but like Rick died. Like he's making fun of the whole thing. And like, it just really seems like he wants to focus just on these 6 episodes. Like, just watch this. We'll talk about that after kind of thing. Right. And Denai Guerrera, that's exactly what she said. She just said, let's just focus on this right now, right? And I'm also paraphrasing there as well. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was just like, let's just like focus on this. Let's just do all this. And so again, there's always been that option there. They're not saying, nope, this is it. This is the end of the story. And the reason why that's important is because for the story's end, like if this was the end of Rick and Michonne, if this show was actually the end of Rick and Michonne's story, they would be saying, well, this is it. Like, this is the end of their story. And any questions about like, oh, could you do more? They would be like, no, this is it. Like, this is the end kind of thing. And so the fact that they're being so open about all of it just tells me that where this story ends, it ends in a way that's not so conclusive to their story, but maybe is conclusive to the whole reunion story of Rick and Michonne, right? And that's why Gimple has been talking about this, being a possibility of potentially a season 2 kind of thing. And so getting into this article here from Digital Spy, and again, this just happened last week here, but the top part here of the article does say the Walking Dead spinoff, The Ones Who Live, could carry on for another season, says the franchise's chief content officer, Scott Gimple. And this is the important part right here. Like, this is the part that that is very, very important to hear. So, and Gimple tells us the deadline. So, they're quoting deadline here, but this is Gimple's answer to, I guess a season 2, obviously. And he says, anything is possible. Even if Rick dies in the last episode, anything is possible. We're focused on this one right now, but this one came together in a really amazing way where there were all sorts of plans and then the world changed and we altered those plans. And then I believe afterwards he says, and then we wound up with something that we really like. And so, when you're looking at those comments there and a lot of the discussion on like a season 2 and all of that, to me, it just seems like right now, again, the focus is just this, like this first season here. They're just going to put this out here. We got to see where this story is going to go and just where people feel about the show or how people feel about the show by the time we get to that very final episode, right? Then I think at that point, they'll have to wait and see. And to me, it seems like a lot of this is just, dependent on how Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera feel about coming back, right? And so it doesn't seem like they're against it. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't actually seem like they're against it. Andrew Lincoln did say, like, he's all about ideas right now. He wants all these ideas, this and that, and if they can come up with a good story and like, work with amazing people, this and that. So I think that is really all this comes down to is like season 1, I think will end as the story in terms of their reunion story. And I think it'll be satisfying to actually have the characters together and like finally they're together, this and that. I don't think it's going to end in a way though where Rick and Michonne reunite with Judith and RJ. That's the thing about this is I don't see it ending in that way at all because I feel like in terms of filming we would have seen that. Like maybe not, maybe they filmed that in secret, but just filming stuff, like spoilers are everywhere. We would have saw something like that, right? And there's been like no indication that like anything like that has happened. So to me personally, I don't see a moment like that actually happening. And when I look at the overall flow of the episodes, at least based off of early reviews and some of the articles that have come out, it looks like Rick and Michonne really only reunite in episode 4. Like I think they will in 3, but a lot of the discussions and like talk about everything happens in 4. And then 5 seems to be the episode where we get Jadis versus Rick and Michonne. So I don't know where that's going to end, but does that episode end with Jadis winning, where, maybe she dies or something like that, and then they actually get away and go back to Alexandria, and then the final episode is just them in Alexandria or something and talking with Judith and RJ? Like, to me, that's such a simple story that I'm just like, well, what about all the CRM stuff? Like, and that's the thing. A lot of people said by episode 4, it feels like the CRM stuff is only beginning. Like, they didn't really get into a lot at that point. So to me, I just feel like because Rick and Michonne are going to escape, like in episode 4, it makes no sense for like the first time they escape, that they get away, for them to actually succeed, right? Like, yes, we're going to see Rick try beforehand, probably just in episode 1, right? We'll see him try and escape a lot. And then maybe here it looks like they're actually going to escape, but maybe something happens, or I don't know, like it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to think that they're actually going to get away in episode 5. I feel like that's just a little too soon. I think Rick and Michonne will both be taken into the CRM, and then they're both going to be staying there. Like, that's the way I see it, because I don't know, I'm just trying to think of where else you could go with the story, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for, I don't know. Like, I remember there being some stuff of like Michonne wearing a CRM jacket. So I'm just kind of confused on the overall flow of everything here. So I just feel like that's probably where it's going to end. And then we'll see what happens in the finale. Like, my prediction is honestly episode 5 is going to end in a way where Jadis will win in some sense, and Michonne and Rick will be taken back to the CRM. There's going to be more drama there, because at that point, you're going to be away from Major General Beale for a while, right? After Rick actually escapes and goes with Michonne. So you have to somehow bring them back together for like this big showdown or whatever in the finale. So in some way, you have to bring them back. And so I think that's going to happen in episode 5 at the very end. They'll be taken back. There'll be this big cliffhanger for the finale kind of thing. And then what afterwards? Do they just defeat the CRM in that episode? That seems like a lot, like, especially if you're not even really getting into that story. I think there'll be some conclusions to some of the story stuff, but I think that the first season's going to end on a pretty big cliffhanger where people are like, whoa, now this really sets up a season 2 kind of thing, right? Like, that's just my guess on the whole thing here. And so that's why I wanted to bring this up in terms of the whole 6-episode event thing that we've been seeing in the teasers and all that. That was sort of, like, yes, it's you don't want to see stuff like that, because you're like, oh wait, what is this only going to be 6 episodes kind of thing? But when you look at what everyone else has been saying, like Andrew Lincoln didn't say no to anything. He seems very, very open. He was just like, I just want ideas, this and that. I want people, I want to be working with like great people. I want a lot of ideas, this and that. I think that he's very, very open, and just has to be a really amazing story. And again, he said that last May. That wasn't like something recent. He said that while filming The Ones Who Live, which obviously that was a very long time ago. That was almost a year ago. It could have been a year. No, it was last May. So that was, it's almost a year ago. But, so a lot of things probably have changed since then. They were obviously editing a lot of the show, putting everything together and all of that. And, that's the thing. This is a whole new experience for them as well. Like, what is this just going to be it and that's done? Like, and actually executive producing the show and coming up with the storylines and all that. I'm sure they're like, yeah, you know what, doing a season 2 or something, if we can take on that challenge to make it even better and all of that, that could be a lot of fun. And I know that people want to see reunions with other characters. And so that stuff for them creatively could be a lot of fun and really exciting, right? So yeah, I just wanted to get into that because I think that people have been just kind of, I don't want to say overreacting about it, but I just think that they're just kind of stating what it is right now, because as of now, that's kind of what it is. But you just kind of have to focus on what everyone else has been saying, right? Like, what have the actors been saying? And also, what has Gimple been saying? It seems like Gimple really wants to do that. AMC also really wants to do a season 2. And so we just got to hear, what the story could be. And we're going to know, like, by the time the finale airs, there will be some discussions on some stuff. And I really hope we're not in a place where it's like just discussions of like, is there going to be a season 2? And then they're just like, yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see this and that. And there's like a lot of like, it's very possible this and that. And it just stays like that. That would be very frustrating, because then we're just going to be there for like however long. And then they'll eventually do a season 2. And then what? Do we have to wait another 5-6 years? Like, probably not. I don't think they're going to do it like that, because obviously the hype for this show would definitely die out in 5 or 6 years. So I think, and also I think a lot of that, it was, they were trying to plan a movie for so long, right? And then that eventually just, that all stopped and all of that. So what I'm just focusing on is, again, I'll read Gimple's comment right here. He says, I would say anything is possible. Even if Rick dies in the last episode, anything is possible. We're We're focused on this one right now. This one came together in a really amazing way where there were all sorts of plans and then the world changed and we altered those plans and we wound up with something we really like. So I think that's kind of, just focusing on that right there. That's the thing is, like, anything's possible, that they could do it. And right now they're just focused on this. And it looks like the way that they came up with this show, they altered a lot of ideas that they had, a lot of, and it seems like this is the best format. And so that's, I think, what is making the possibility of doing more, a possibility is the fact that they actually turned this into a TV show. So yeah, I'm still in the same place here. I think that, yeah, as of now, this is 6 episodes, but the fact that, they're open to doing a season 2, the fact that no one's shutting that idea down tells me that the story here ends in a way where it really seems to set up a season 2. So like, let's just focus on watching this here. I do actually want to mention a couple things here before I end the video. So one, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, season 1 so far actually has a 92% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So that is absolutely incredible. That's a very, very high rating. So that's obviously something to really, obviously be excited about. And also apparently Dead City season 2 is going to be starting filming in April. And it's supposed to film in Boston. So I don't know if that's hinting at a setting change, but that would be kind of interesting, just to kind of go away from New York. I think that's totally fine. Like, it's called Dead City. You don't have to stay in New York City the entire time. You can just really set the show in cities, right? And just sort of just go to different cities and all of that. And so going to Boston, I think, would be really cool. The story would have to, just make sense for them to go there, but they're all kind of in that same area. And also, I think in terms of The Ones Who Live in that storyline, it might make more sense to have Maggie and Negan go farther away from the CRM, because like right now it's like, well, why don't you know more about the CRM and like all these little things, right? Because you're so close to Philadelphia. So anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.